Hello, Easy English learners, and welcome back to another Easy English story. Have you ever looked up at a beautiful sunset and wondered how those incredible colours got there? In today's story, we are going to meet a young artist called Elena, and she lives in a small house on top of a hill. So as always, we are going to learn some key vocabulary before the story, and then I will read the story in slow and clear English for you to practice your listening for these words. Okay, so before we pick up our paintbrushes, let's learn 5 key words for today's story. The first word is vibrant. Vibrant. What an excellent word. Vibrant means full of energy, life, and brightness. When talking about colours, it means very bright and strong. For example, the rooms in her house were painted with vibrant colours of yellow and orange. Our second word today is blend. To blend. And this means to mix 2 or more things together completely so that they become one. For example, you need to blend the oil and vinegar together to make salad dressing or a sauce for your salad. Our third word here is horizon. Horizon. And the horizon is the line in the distance where the earth and the sky appear to meet. So that line, when you look out, it looks like the sky and the earth joined together. Our fourth word for today's story is exhausted. Exhausted. And this means extremely tired, either physically or mentally. For example, after working a 12-hour shift at the hospital, the nurse was completely exhausted. And finally, our fifth word for today's story is masterpiece. Masterpiece. And a masterpiece is a work of art, such as a painting, a movie, or a piece of music that is made with incredible skill or talent. And often it's praised as its creator's best work. For example, the Mona Lisa is now considered a masterpiece. Okay, those are our words for today's story that I would like you to listen for. Remember, if you would like to support, I just want to thank all of my Patreon members for getting access to this with the full transcripts and supporting us on Patreon. Thank you so much, each and every one of you, for that support. And as well, I want to make sure if you aren't following along that you follow and subscribe to the podcast. Okay, let's read today's story. And this is called The Girl Who Painted the Sky. Elena lived in a cottage on the highest hill overlooking the valley. While the villagers below went about their daily lives, Elena kept her eyes on the sun. She was not a typical artist. She didn't paint on canvas or paper. Instead, her canvas was the open air, and her job was to create the evening sky. Every afternoon at exactly 5 o'clock, Elena opened a secret wooden chest. Inside were jars of glowing liquid light, deep oranges, soft pinks, and vibrant purples. She took out her ancient wooden brush, which had a long silver hair brush on the end that shimmered even in the dark. As the sun began to drop lower in the sky, Elena dipped her brush into the jars. With long, smooth movements of her arms, she began to sweep the brush across the air. Instantly, bright streaks of colour appeared on the horizon. She worked with great care, knowing that she had to blend the colours perfectly. If she mixed the yellow and blue too quickly, the sky would turn an ugly, muddy green instead of a beautiful, warm gold. She ran from one side of her hills to the other, pulling pink clouds across the valley and splashing orange light over the mountains. One evening, after a very long and stressful week, Elena felt exhausted. Her arms were heavy and her eyes were tired. As she reached for her jars, she accidentally knocked over her favourite colour, the vibrant purple. The jar shattered on the grass and the liquid light sank into the dirt. "Oh no!" Elena cried out. The sun was setting fast, and the sky was turning a cold, boring grey. She didn't have enough time to create more purple paint. She had to think quickly. Instead of panicking, she decided to try something completely new. She grabbed a jar of bright crimson red and a jar of deep midnight blue. She dipped her brush into both at the same time and swirled them across the sky with all of her remaining strength. The two colours met above the valley and they began to melt into one another. And instead of her usual soft purple, the sky exploded into a deep, dramatic violet mixed with streaks of burning gold. It looked like a sea of fire and shadows. Down in the village, people stopped walking. They stepped out of their shops and houses, looking up at the sky with open mouths. It was the most dramatic and beautiful sunset that they had ever seen. Elena sank onto the grass, her arms aching, but she smiled as she watched her work fade into the night. She had made a mistake, but by trying something new, she had created her greatest masterpiece. I hope you enjoyed today's story. That was a beautiful story, and it really reminded me how beautiful sunsets actually are and how special that moment is each night when the sun sets and it gives us that beautiful colour across the sky. And I think it's something that we can definitely all appreciate a little bit more than we do currently. Okay, so this is the part of the podcast where I give you some comprehension questions. I ask you questions to see how well you understood today's story. Question 1. What was Elena's unique job every evening? Her job was to paint the colours of the sunset into the sky, and she used a magic brush to do this. Question 2. Why did Elena have to be careful when she blended the colours? Because if she mixed them too quickly or poorly, the sky could turn an ugly green colour instead of a warm gold. Question 3. What accident happened because Elena was exhausted? She knocked over her jar of favourite purple paint and it spilled into the dirt. Question 4. How did Elena create her masterpiece at the end of the story? She mixed crimson red and midnight blue together directly in the sky, and it created a beautiful new violet colour. So we had some great words there today. We had vibrant, so the colours were lovely and vibrant that she painted, especially that vibrant purple. We had blend, so Elena blended the colours together in the sky. We had horizon, so that was where the sky meets the ground, where it appears to meet. We had exhausted. So Elena was exhausted, which is why she made the mistake. And we had masterpiece. So she created a masterpiece with the colors and the painting that she did on the sky. Thank you so much for listening to today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to share it with someone, and we'll see you in the next Easy English story. And I hope you're having a wonderful week, and thank you all on the Patreon for supporting and getting access to this. Thank you, and I will chat to you very, very soon. Goodbye.